Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered wings. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered wings.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Camino Cafe. I am so happy that you are joining us today, and I just wanted to give a big shout out to everyone that's currently walking and everyone that's preparing to walk. I really hope that you get there soon and get to do that. As always, I ask you to subscribe. If you're listening on our podcast, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you're watching us on YouTube, I would really appreciate a thumbs up or a comment, and to subscribe to our channel as well. It just helps people find the interviews through searches if we're getting ratings. So anyway, thank you for all the comments that I've been receiving and all of the amazing support in this Camino community. Every time I hear from one of you, it just lights me up, and it helps me to want to keep going with all the interviews. Even though I enjoy them so much, when I hear from you, it just makes me want to set up more and more interviews. So anyway, I want to get to our interview today because we are sitting here with Roger Williams, and I'm so excited because Roger, he is a Seattle-based pilgrim, but he is currently walking the Camino Frances as we speak. Well, he's in his hotel room right now in Astorga, but he's taking a break just to talk to us. So Roger, welcome. Thank you for coming on to the Camino Cafe.
Leigh, I really appreciate the invitation, and I hope that today some people can hear some stuff to maybe realize that you can do this now if you want to. So
excellent. Yes, definitely. So, I always start, as you know, with, how did you find out about the Camino in the first place?
Yeah, so we were chatting a little earlier, and I was saying that, after 15 days, you start off with you're walking and you start a long speech for somebody, and it can take an hour to explain all that. And after 15 days, you're down to your 3-minute elevator speech, but I'll try to do my best. But honestly, when I was younger, my family didn't travel a whole lot, not nationally or internationally, and that was something that I always kind of longed for. And some of my family members recognized that, and so instead of taking me places, they got me National Geographic. So that was a little bit easier than packing up stuff and going places. And I saw the cathedral in a National Geographic, and I saw the big incense ball and how they were pulling it and swinging it, and was coming from an Anglican background, a high church background. It just really fascinated me. I didn't read the article, but I definitely saw this image. And then, like so many Americans, 11 years ago, The Way comes out with Martin Sheen, and I'm watching the movie, and I'm engaging in it, and I enjoy it. But then when they're in the cathedral and that ball starts swinging, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what this is. I need to go do this. And so about 2005, I went on a mission trip to do some work after the tsunami in Thailand, and I was working on helping this person put his tattoo parlor back together in Kopipi, and all these tourists, I won't say what kind of nationality they were, but they were tourists, and they were going by this booth, and they had all their beach stuff in their hands, and they were going to the beach. Well, here we are cleaning up after this massive, destructive force. And I turned to my Thai friend and said, doesn't that make you mad? And he looked at me and he said, if they don't do what they're doing by coming here and bringing their money back, then what you're doing doesn't matter. And that just kind of blew my brain a little bit. So I went back a year later as a tourist to supply that end of it and do both sides. And so I went to a Wat, a temple on the mainland that had these 1,200 steps to get up to the top, and it's the foot of Buddha's imprint at the top. And I was 60 pounds heavier and had some lifestyle choices that probably weren't that great, have heart disease in my family. And I got to like 900 steps. The steps were all numbered. And I got to like the 900, I just could not go any further. It was 300 steps. And I just couldn't do it. So I had to come back down. And when I came back down, I said, I'm never going to not start something like this and finish it. And that's a great sentiment until all of a sudden you get forced to look at that statement, and then it kind of, the fear gripped me about all sorts of stuff, and I didn't do anything. And last year during the pandemic, stuck at home, sitting around looking at the world and what was happening, I also had a heart attack last December and had 2 stents put in my heart. And when I came out of that, I said, this is it. I have to do everything that I want to do. I have a bucket list that's in my brain. I need to put it on paper. I need to start actualizing it and making things happen. And the Camino has always been something that's on that list. And so it was the first one to get checked, first major one to get checked off. So that's why I'm here. And that's how I got here.
Wow. Okay, Roger, I've got chills. What a story of how this has come together for you. So, oh boy, so many things I want to say. First, I'm so happy you're okay and you're recovering from the heart attack. That is so wonderful. So congratulations on being able to be there. That's wonderful. And how cool that you saw, the cathedral back when you were a kid in a National Geographic. That is really fun. So I love that. And I should mention that not only are you walking your first Camino as your first bucket list item, but you also started a podcast about bucket lists. And one of the first people, the very first person that you interviewed was Rachelle Smith. And she also walked the Camino back in 2019. And Rachelle's actually been at some Camino Cafe events. So I met Rachelle through that. And so I just wanted to first off put a plug out there because I think it's a great interview. So anyone that's watching this, please check out Roger's interview with Rachelle. But So
I just started it right before the walk. I got a couple episodes out, and my intent was to come on the walk. And like a lot of people these days, is they want to make a movie, they want to video blog everything, they want to do all this stuff. And I was going to try to find pilgrims to interview, but it's not been the focus of what I'm trying to do here. So, but yeah, the podcast is really about other people's experience of crossing things off their list. So I have several people that are in the queue. When I come back, I have a woman that at 65 is learning how to tap dance. And I have a friend of mine from high school that has sailed around the world. And I want to give people a chance to tell their stories so that to inspire other people to start crossing things off their list. So if whatever it is that's on their list, let's talk about it, because it may not be somebody else's cup of tea, but it definitely might inspire them to look at their own list and start crossing things off.
Oh, yeah. I think that is such a creative idea. What a great idea for a podcast. So congratulations.
And I think it's that time. I think I'm not the only person that sat at home for 18 months and got cabin fever and said, what am I doing with my life? So I think it's the right time to have the conversations. And even on the Camino, lots of people are coming up to me and going, oh, I talked to this person about my bucket list. I talked to this person about my bucket list. So it's great to hear that people are talking about not just what's on their list, but how they're going to live it out.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I hope everyone will check out your podcast. I'll have a link to it, of course, in the show notes. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk. You are 15 days or so into your Camino, right? And so let's start.
I don't remember what day it is. It could be. All I know is I'm just moving forward. So.
Very good. Well, let's start with first traveling, because I'm sure a lot of people at home right now are probably wondering, okay, well, what was it like to fly from Seattle all the way to Spain? Was there anything unique or challenging that you found for this trip?
There were several things, and I could answer the question with what happened to me, but I can't guarantee that's going to be the same thing for anybody else, because all this changes so quickly and so fast. Right. And I think that was the biggest thing before I left. There was a lot of anxiety, not about going, but how to get there, how to get to St. Jean-Pied-de-Port. So it wasn't like, oh, should I go? Should I not go? It really was, I'm going. There's no doubt I'm going. But everything was changing so fast. So I didn't know that I needed a PCR test to sit in Heathrow for 5 hours. So at SeaTac Airport, I had to pay twice as much for a PCR test than I did. You know, it was like $250 for a PCR test right before I was leaving on the trip. So there was stuff like that. There's most of I was in Heathrow. I had to go through Heathrow and Dublin to get to Paris, took trains from Paris to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. So it was a long 3 days of traveling, but it's doable, and you just have to be prepared to be flexible if you're going to take the step, one more step out the door to get onto the way. So it's doable, but you do have to. My mistake was not fully understanding what England needed. I thought they said they're open, so I didn't know I needed a PCR test. So just continuously checking, and I think the best place to do that is probably with the airlines. They're going to know what you need and what kind of documentation you need. I mean, I got vaccinated the first chance I could get back in like March. Like that was the first thing I ran out and I got vaccinated. So, but I think now that's not even a requirement from France or Spain at this point. So it just changes so rapidly. We saw last week that the CDC said Spain was a no travel thing. We're already here, so you just have to constantly keep up with it, and it's difficult, but it's doable.
Okay. Have you had to show your vaccination card or a photo of your vaccination card during your travel or since you've been in Spain?
To get into France, I had to show them at the border. When I came through the airport, I had to show my vaccination card. That was the first time I had to fill out an online form for both England and Ireland. But yeah, I had to show it. And I know that I'm going to have to get a PCR test to get back into the United States.
Great. And have you had to show your vaccination card when you've gone into cafes or at the albergues during your walk so far?
No, ma'am. None of that has happened.
Okay.
No, they're not asking for it. I'm assuming that they think that if you're here, you've done what you need to do. There are mask mandates pretty much everywhere indoors in Spain right now. And not surprisingly, but thankfully, about 98% of the people you see on the street are wearing masks. Unless they're sitting down at a cafe or bar, they have a mask on. Locals are very, very adamant. So you have to wear your mask in the albergue, but when you're outside, you don't have to, but everybody's wearing masks here in Spain.
What about as you're actually walking on the path? Are people wearing their masks?
That's a little different. Not as much on the path. Usually when you do see people that aren't wearing masks when you're in cities, it is folks that are either tourists or pilgrims.
Okay. And what's the talk, Roger? I'm just curious, are people asking, when you're meeting up with fellow pilgrims, you're walking or you're at the albergue, are they asking you about your vaccination status? Is there any talk of that?
No, I think there was a little bit when we got to Roncesvalles, but that was probably about it. I actually got a patch for my backpack that says I've been vaccinated. Not that that's official in any stretch of imagination, but just kind of let people know. Doesn't mean that it's real or not, but I did that. It hasn't been a whole lot of talk. I told you earlier that I jumped a few stages in the Camino because of scheduling. I had to skip 3 or 4 days, and that was the only time that I really felt, because I'd been with a group of people for 10 days, I was comfortable with them, I knew their habits, I knew what they were doing. That took me a little bit of time to get back into the groove of being communal and sharing a room in an albergue with someone that I had no clue who they were. So that's been a little bit difficult, but for the most part, it's been pretty easy and not too worrisome.
Yeah, I wondered that, Roger, because, both of us are based in Seattle. And of course, in Seattle, we've been really good about wearing our masks and really giving people proper space and whatnot. And, I too will be in Spain, hopefully soon, walking. And I just wonder, what's it feeling like to all of a sudden be sharing a room when we have been alone for so long, or sharing these communal meals when we have not even been able to go out really for dinner, all that much here in Seattle. So what has that felt like for you personally?
Yeah, most of the albergs that have kitchens they're closed.
Oh, okay.
So there's not a lot of communal fixing of food. I know some pilgrims that are back a couple stages, they did find one that they could do that, but that's the only time I've seen that. Very rare for that to happen. Most people are going to the grocery store, buying food, and sitting out to save expenses. But there's not a lot of communal food making, and I don't know if that's top down from the Spanish government, but it's definitely the albergs are taking their role in this very seriously. There are also very few albergues that are over 50% capacity by choice and by decree. So typically what will happen is we're seeing the top bunk's bare, the bottom bunk is where everyone's sleeping. So so it's they aren't jam-packed. I have seen some albergues that are not following those rules, which is sad. So you don't really know that until you booked, paid, and gone back to the room. So that's a little worrisome. But at the same time, I've been very lucky to be traveling in large, have found large groups of people that we can book albergue together and have all the rooms in a space. So that's my biggest suggestion is find your family, find your group, and book with them together. It's people you trust, you've been around, you know them, and so it makes it easier.
How are you doing that? How are you booking?
Thankfully, usually there's someone that takes charge of that, right?
Okay.
And they're the one that books for everybody. I was with a large group of Italian college students about a week ago, and Giacomo did it all. I mean, he got the number of, how many beds do we need? Where can we get that many beds? And he just had a list of albergs and called. For the most part, I've been using the Camino Ninja tool because I really like them because they allow you to directly call from their app, which some of the apps don't allow you to do.
Nice.
And so they're also, if you look at their lists, they have green dots and red dots, and then they also take away the emblem that shows if they've got beds or not. So if an alberg is closed, if they've confirmed that, they take all the pricing out and stuff. So you see the name, but you can't see what's available because there's really nothing available. So they are trying. It's good to see somebody trying to get that information out there.
Okay, so that's the Ninja tool is the name of that app, right?
Yeah, the Camino Ninja tool.
All right, great. Okay, so on accommodations, have you run across where you were unable to find places to sleep? Like, have you felt any feeling like I'm not going to have a place to sleep tonight? I know you mentioned in one of your posts that there does seem to be a morning rush, which is normal, always on the Camino. But are you feeling like that's a little more stressful right now?
I think it's pushed people to be more proactive about doing it ahead of time. So typically, you get into a Camino rhythm of what your schedule is for the day. So you wake up, you eat, you walk, you have second breakfast, you walk, you have lunch, you walk, and then you check into your albergue, you do laundry, and then just now part of that is that most likely in the afternoon you're making the arrangement. It's just has become a part of the afternoon ritual. And if you are working if you're in a group of people, then someone's typically handling that. I will tell you a wonderful story. We got into Roncesvalles. There was a group of French college students that got there very late, and there were no beds left. So that has I think 240 beds in it. Now it's dropped down to 120. And they had not pre-booked anything. And there's only one, I think there's only one other albergue there. So it's another 20 beds. And so they kind of snuck in. They snuck in and then they got locked in and then they took a bed, which probably isn't the best thing to do, but definitely a college move. But when I woke up the next morning and they were doing their chanting and we were getting out of the building, there were probably at least 3 people sleeping outside that building. And I have
Wow.
seen it. I have seen it a couple of times. That was early on. Hadn't seen it very much, but a couple of days ago, I saw some people outside my upper that were cowboy camping. So
Wow. Did they have
it's
sleeping
happening.
bags? Did they have stuff
Yeah,
with them?
yeah,
Okay.
or just huddling up and trying to be as warm as possible. A lot of
Wow.
what we're hearing now is that from Sarria to Santiago, that it's a real mess.
Yeah, I've been
That
hearing that as
very,
well.
very, yeah, it's very, very difficult. I fortunately, my partner of 3 years, she is down traveling around South Spain for her 50th birthday and is meeting me at Sarria to
Oh,
finish.
nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her. I'm looking forward to her getting there. So we actually booked rooms well in advance for those 5 days.
Okay.
So we're good, but everybody else is having lots of problems in that space. And I'm in Estrada, and it seems like everybody did pretty well here, but probably between here and Syria, it's getting difficult.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Another question I have for you, how has it been as far as using cash? Are you still using euros and cash, or are you finding that you need to use your credit card?
No, euros and cash has been fine.
Okay.
The waiters and waitresses and bartenders usually just put it in the dish and slide it over the bill to you. You look at it, you slide the bill back with the money. It hasn't been a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just wondered if cash was being taken. 'Cause I know some places in the US, cash really hasn't been desired.
I don't know. I don't know how they could do that especially here, because a lot of places have like a 20 euro minimum to even use your card.
Right.
So it would be very, very difficult if they took cash away here,
Yeah, I
especially
agree.
if you're one of the small towns that everybody rolls up on in the morning and has their cafe con leche and a Napolitano. Those kind of people wouldn't be able to survive if they had these credit cards.
Yeah. Okay. So good to know. So everybody get your euros when you're out walking. And speaking of money, so what has been your budget? What are you feeling like you're spending in a typical day?
Yeah, I definitely think the prices are higher than what I expected, or from what a typical would be, and I'm guessing it's probably about 20 or 30% more, and that's across the board. That's the albergues that probably used to be €8 are now €12. The cafe con leche that used to be 180 is probably now 220. The prices are jacked, but at the same time, everyone's got their budgets, but at the same time, I've been very impressed that I can, the little cart in the little town, that there's no other option, that everybody's stopping there. At one day, I think there were like 30 people outside a food truck.
Wow.
And it's still, there's still, prices are very low. We come from the United States, where that's supply and demand, baby. But he's the only place in town. He could have charged $10 for tortilla and a cafe con leche and probably got it.
Yeah.
So, but they don't. That's not the culture here. That's not how they keep people coming back. So I think the prices are a little bit higher, but they're not gouging anything. I haven't seen gouging happening.
Nice. And how have you felt about finding food, during the day, after you've had your first, second breakfast or whatever, has it been easy to find that second breakfast or a drink midway through?
Yeah, the second breakfast is rough. It's a little bit rougher, and you just have to plan ahead for it. The Italian kids taught me that. They really go on the cheap, and they were going to the grocery store the night before. They would get what they need to make sandwiches the next day. It was really, really fun to watch them, and how important this trip was to them, and what they were willing to do to make it happen. And so the grocery stores are all open. I think the hours people are keeping are probably a little bit lower, but I think that's because I think that there's a surge right now in Pilgrims, and so they probably didn't know that it was coming. So they've changed their hours a little bit. Like that was 2 days ago. All the cities and days mix up, but we left one town, went 5K into another one, and there was nothing open. And I think that was Monday, and I believe that was also a holiday. But the woman was like, I didn't have any food delivered. I didn't know anybody was going to, I didn't think anybody was coming through today. And she did eventually open up and at least got everybody that wanted it coffee. But they also, the business owners and the albergs and the bars, they don't know what's going on. There's no way to predict when it's going to come back. And so you can't be mad. You just got like, all right, let's pick up and go. I have gone to a gas station and gotten food, which is not necessarily something I really wanted to do. But when that's the only options in town, you divert for 2K, 1K out, 1K back to fuel up. So it's kind of what you have to do to survive right now out here.
Okay, so that is all good information to know. Let's talk a little bit about your pre-training. I was stalking your Instagram, way back, and it looked like you started some training. And then, that first day out of San Jean is always a little rough. So let's talk about, somebody right now is getting ready to walk. Could you describe what your training was like? And now looking back, what you wish maybe you would have done differently?
Wow, that's an embarrassing question to ask and answer.
There's no embarrassment, no embarrassment.
No,
right?
it's totally cool. It's totally all right. I was probably doing flat about 6 to 9 miles a day at probably about 3 miles an hour. I think if I were to do it again, for me personally, I would do less miles and at a slower pace. But that's for me. I mean, everybody's different. I think it's people like, oh, you need to do hills. Well, if you're leaving to go do the Camino out of Indiana or Kansas, that's not really an option for you to do hills.
Right.
But I do think, and I think I made some mistakes those first couple of days because I felt like for me, the Camino is all about community. So I wanted to get through the day, get my clothes washed, and go hang out with people. And I wanted that to happen as soon as possible. So I think that's kind of why I pushed myself really hard those first days, instead of going, if I leave at 6 and it takes me, 7-8 hours to do 20K, then it takes me 7 or 8 hours to do 20K. And everybody's still going to be in the same town. We've already talked to each other. I think there's I didn't release that part of it of like, it'll be okay. There'll still be time. There'll still be a place to feel like you belong. So I think that the slow and steady wins the race.
All right, that makes sense. So less miles, slow down the pace. Everybody will be at the next stop. You'll see them once you get there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was something I had to learn.
What about the training? I think you had a post about recommending that people walk with their backpacks with the weight.
Well, I did. Yes, I recommend it. I didn't do it, but I definitely recommend you do it.
Okay.
I had a smaller backpack. I wound up giving it to my partner. Got a bigger backpack, and as an American, you if you have a container, you fill it.
Yes.
And I did. And so I think I was like 19.5 pounds, which is 10% of my body weight, which is what everybody says. I think it should be 5% of your body weight.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of stuff you don't. And we talked about that a little bit.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So our video quality isn't so great, so I don't know. We can try to show it, but if you got your backpack handy, maybe hold it up, and then tell me what you would say to someone. Yeah, you definitely need to take these 3 things for sure. And is there something that you've already gotten rid of that you're like, I did not need to bring that, and you left it behind or mailed it home?
Yeah, there are. I didn't mail it home. I actually bought a rucksack to put my bag in because I've had bad experiences before traveling in airplanes and my backpack getting messed up and the buckles breaking and all that kind of stuff. And that happens. You're just, messed up. And I wound up never using it because there weren't very many people on the plane. So I had plenty of space for it. When I got to Pamplona, this nice Spaniard student invited us to stay at his house, and I'm like, hey man, why don't you have this? And I think I gave a few packing cubes away, and just some stuff like that. That's like, I wanted to be organized. I wanted to be able to just reach in my pack and grab something and know what it is, know where it is. But so yeah, let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
It's not pretty. So.
Oh, I think I have that same backpack. What brand is that? An oak? Is it Osprey?
No, it's Gregory.
Gregory. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Great.
it's like a 60-liter Gregory. It's like way too big.
60-liter Gregory. Yeah, you could have filled that up. So what would you recommend? What are the top things that people should take that you think that are really essential?
I love the power adapter I got. It has 2 USB cords slots on it, and it's not that I have the devices to have the USB. What I found several times was I was the last one into the albergue, and all the plugs were taken. Yeah. So what I would do is remove one person's plug, put mine in, and then plug both of ours in to that one. So that saved me, and I wasn't messing with somebody else, but they're still charging and I get charged. So that was really helpful. I have like a little bag, a little plastic bag that for laundry. And I just am a firm believer that, my brain gets foggy with just like walking all day and doing all that stuff. So I don't remember which day I wore stuff and I washed up and all that. So if I put it in that bag, that was real helpful. So I wasn't doing extra work. That I knew exactly, what it needed to be washed. So that's been helpful. And I think it's not something I necessarily brought, but because of my heart attack, I'm on several medications. And so what I chose to do was I was very, very iffy on taking them out of the containers that had the labels for the prescriptions on it. And I was fearful about that. So I brought small snack size Ziploc bags. And once I got through all the customs that I needed to get through, I had little pieces of paper in each bag that had the name of the drug and when I was supposed to take it. And so I just dumped them out of the bottles into the plastic bags and threw away the bottles. So that was a suggestion somebody given me, and I thought that's been real helpful if you find yourself in that situation.
Yeah, great tips. Wonderful tips. Do you have a luxury item, like an item that you think a lot of people might not take, but you're like so happy you have it at night?
No, I have a luxury item. I wish I had a beard trimmer.
A beard trimmer, yeah.
Yeah, luckily, because 2 weeks in, I was looking scruffy. So luckily, I found another Pilgrim that bald. So it was very important for him to bring his. So he let me borrow his. Yeah, I mean the phone. I don't know if you call it a luxury item, but you gotta have it, and it's I'm posting 4 or 5 times a day on Instagram, but it's not. So that's a luxury, but I think it's it's a complete necessity anymore, especially with the situation out here. You got to be able to keep up with what's happening. And so, yeah. I didn't bring a swimsuit, which has turned out good. But we did stay in one albergue that did have their pool open. And so that was fun. But they had an outdoor shower. Right when I got there and checked in, I just drenched my sweat off and took my t-shirt off and jumped in with my shorts. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, so, exactly. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like you're pretty set with your backpack. So that's wonderful. And are you using hiking poles?
Yes, definitely. I not just because of my condition, but I think my shoes, I got Olympus 4s from Ultra, and I went into the store to buy oboes, the short oboes, and I've been walking in them for 10 plus years. And usually whatever it is I buy, I usually buy it and keep buying it. And the weight difference was really, really outstanding to me. So I couldn't help but buy the Ultras. But there's not a lot of stability in those shoes. And so there, and even just on the cobble, the cobble streets of the cities, there's just not a lot of stability. And so I think that poles are almost, should be mandatory for anybody, and very few people don't have them.
All right.
But I did buy them. I did buy them in Saint Jean because I've heard stories of the airlines not allowing you to take them in and all that kind of stuff. So, especially when you have so many intermittent flights between your final destination, and I didn't check my bag. So, which I strongly suggest you don't check your bag.
Yeah, no kidding. And what about, are you journaling while you're out and about? Like, how are you keeping track? Because your posts are really nice. How are you keeping track of what's going on?
That's really how I've been doing it. Instagram is great for me because I get to promote what I'm doing with podcasts and my coaching business. But it's also really good because it sends those same posts to Facebook. So I just have two sets of people that I have to interact with. So I respond to my engagement on Instagram, but then my family and friends back home also get to see those same things who may not be on Instagram. And so that's something that I really got from that interview that I did with Rachelle. It was that, because I asked her, I'm like, you doing all this blogging, you're taking all this. I said, that's distract from your experience. And she just said, no, we don't tell people not to journal. Right. And it's just a different form of journaling. So I have really tried, and I only post about 10 pictures a day. I don't post all my pictures. So I do have some that are just for me. And those are generally people that I meet and doing things that I think are neat that may not appeal to anyone else. So I still have a lot of material there that's just mine. So.
Okay. And I really love on your posts, you've been showing this map kind of thing. Where are you getting that?
So one of the, as I was preparing to do my reporting about my Camino, I was trying to find ways that I could minimize the amount of effort that I was putting into that project, so that I wasn't spending 2-3 hours after I got off the road to do all these things, editing and all that. So those videos are from Relive, RELIVE. And basically you just turn it on like it's tracking your activity in the morning, and it just geo-tracks you throughout the day. And then any pictures you take in that time during that activity, it allows you to select them when it's over. So you stop the activity in the afternoon when you get into the place, and and then you pick the pictures that you want to put in the video, and it does all the work for you. You don't have to do anything. It makes the video, and then I just send it to Instagram through there, and it takes about, if there's good internet, it takes about 2 minutes. If there's bad internet, it takes about 20. But yeah, it's a real simple tool. And I was talking to another pilgrim on a couple days in, and he was using a different app called Polar Steps that he showed it to me, which I think is an absolutely gorgeous app. It does kind of the same thing, but it allows you to string the videos together. So it's a journey, not just an activity like Relive is. It also allows you to do the micro blogging like I've been doing through Instagram. And then when your whole journey is over, you can go on their website and actually create a hardback book with the pictures that you want, with the blog posts that you want, with the maps that you want. And then you pay, depending on how much stuff you put in your book, they ship you a hard copy of your journey. So I wish I had. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's called Polar Steps. And he showed it to me on his phone. I'm like, wow, it really is gorgeous and well done. So I think that would be something that people should look at.
And that's Polar, like POLAR?
Yeah, Polar Steps.
Wow. Okay. And the other one is Relive.
Relive,
RELIVE. Okay, great. Those are great tips. And now I just a curious question for you. Is that using any type of, taking a lot of battery power for your phone, or using up Wi-Fi or any type of time?
No, the Relive, it's all done through the GPS tracker, so that's not data driven.
Okay.
And yeah, because I checked that before I went. I did some tests. test of 5-6 miles, and it really doesn't eat up the battery at all. I usually am finishing my walk in the day, and I've probably only used half my battery. So
Okay, cool.
with
All right.
taking pictures, looking at maps, and everything else you have to do throughout the walk. So I haven't had any problems.
Okay. And so, you've been wanting to do this since you were a kid, basically. And I'm sure you probably did your share of research before getting there. What would you say has surprised you the most? That you're now that you're there, you're partway through. What's the biggest surprise?
Yeah, I think that this you may be able to tell me if this is normal or not, but I think that because of the quarantine and people being on lockdown, that I've been surprised at how many Europeans are not doing a complete hike through. They're not doing a complete hike through. That they're doing sections. And I don't know if that's normal, but that was something that was surprising to me. It's like, oh, you're starting here at St. John, you're not finishing. What are you doing? But I think that there's, from what it sounds like, is they don't have as much vacation as they've had in the past, and so that's a little bit interesting to me. We had a member of our Camino family early on, Miguel, who's a Spaniard, and it was just absolutely vital to to our survival, and he left after like 6 or 7 days, and so that surprised me. I also am very surprised that I had to ask for original Coke and not get a Coke Zero. That's a weird one, but it's I learned early on that if I didn't ask for original Coke, that I was getting a Coke Zero, because it's
more importantly, did you get any ice?
Yes. Yeah, and my lemon. But yeah, usually I get weird looks when I ask for the can without a glass of ice. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's cold. It's fine. We're going. Let's I don't need the glass. Let's just." That must be a very American thing to do. But I'm like, "No glass."
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, just give me the bottle.
Oh, that's great. Okay, what has been your best moment and your worst moment? Let's start with worst moment of your walk.
Third day, probably 2 kilometers outside Zabiri. I was just in so much pain. My left knee was, I don't know if it popped or it twisted or something, and it was just absolutely, because it's all downhill at that point, and it was just absolutely the worst thing, I think. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Another one would have been the last 10K of the 30 days before Logroño, or 30 Ks before Logroño. I saw no one. I saw nobody in those 10Ks. No other pilgrims, and I could have sworn, because of that, I was like the last person coming in that night. I had been walking for like 9 hours, and it was just emotionally, it was just really, really hard. That was because I felt like I was completely alone. That was the first time I felt like I was completely alone. Could see no one in front of me, no one behind me, and that was rough.
Yeah, let's talk about that a bit, because for me, one of the most important parts of my Camino was the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I were talking a bit before we started our recording about you're really wanting to belong and feel a part of this Camino community. So how did you work through that day? And, has it gotten better or worse? How are you feeling about all that?
That was the worst day because I couldn't see them. I had a couple people that were texting me and being encouraging. And I think that's so vital. As a teacher in my other part of my world, I'm a big believer in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And in the original version, there were 5 needs. There was physical needs, there were safety needs, there was belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. And the Camino experience provides all 5 of those things, but the only one that requires other people, like physical needs, I can get my own meals. I can look at the map myself. I can look for the yellow arrows. Safety is, I can make sure I got an albergue. I know where I'm going without anybody else. Esteem, I can love myself and feel good about myself. And ultimately, most people are out here trying to find that self-actualization, and that's an alone activity. Like I can't do that for anybody. They have to do it themselves. But belonging really requires this mutual aspect of giving. Like you can't really belong and not give anything back. I think that's really what I saw in The Way, that Martin Sheen's character just refused and refused and refused. And once he broke down and said, okay, I have to belong to this, I also have to give to it. I think that's what pushed me to be a part of this. I have a bucket list, and there are very few things on that bucket list that are not communal.
Really?
Yeah, really. That's kind of what drives the work that I do at home, and it just kind of drives my spirit for those 70 hours that are mine that I haven't sold off to somebody or that I'm not sleeping. I want to build community with other people, and doing that is the only one out of those 5 needs that really requires other people to do it. And so it's essential on the Camino. I mean, and there are definitely people that come and they do it themselves and they're quiet. But there was an Italian woman that was walking with what I call our pod. She wasn't like really a family member, but she was on the same stages, and she was walking along. And there was one day that she was hurting really bad, and somebody from our group was getting into a taxi to get to the next city because they just couldn't do it. And she was like, how much is that? And I'm like, hey, just jump in. It's no big deal. And she really refused. And she was kind of standoffish, and she was kind of doing her own thing. But like a couple of days later, we were at the pool at the albergue, and she's like, hi, I'm Raffaella. And I said, I remember your name. I remember your name. And she wanted to engage. So I think there becomes a point where you have to engage. And for me, balance is like the most important thing. So my schedule, usually I'm walking alone. I get up at my own pace, my own time. I walk how I want to. And unintentionally, by lunchtime, I will have caught up to somebody, or somebody will caught up to me. And then we finish the day together. And then nighttime is a free for all on who you want to spend time with. But I think that the balance of it is, for me, is very healthy. And because I want to feel like I want that time for myself, and just getting through the Meseta, it's been somewhat transformational for me in that process. I definitely have things I'm carrying to Cruz de Ferro that I need to drop off, and I've actually reached out beyond the Camino to people that I need to make that happen for me.
Nice.
And but everybody comes around that you can do those things, and you can do it solo, but eventually you've got to engage and be a part of that belonging too.
Yeah. Now, will you be at Cruz de Ferro tomorrow or day after?
Day after.
Okay.
Is what I've heard the plan is. But I'm just trying not to be the leader, because I do that in my real world. So, but that's one of the things that's been helpful to me to learn, is to like, okay, where are we going? Somebody let me know. I'll just show up, and I'll be there where I need to be. So yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, because I know you got to get to dinner, and your Camino family's probably waiting on you. What's been the best day, the best moment or best day so far?
I spent about 4 days with that group of young Italians, and there was one of them, his name is Giacomo, and he was kind of the leader of that family, and it was kind of the worst day and the best day, but I knew I was going to be skipping stages that day, so I did get up with everybody else in the albergue and stood outside and said goodbye. And although that was very difficult, I was I felt very warm that at some level I had made an impact on these people that were around me, and that So there were tears, and Giacomo was like, all right, I just got to go. I can't stay here and prolong this. It's going to be worse for me. So that was just kind of the best day to really reaffirm that I had done what I came to do. I not only belonged, but I helped others feel like they belonged. And that was super important to me. And so to have those emotions, although they were tough and very difficult, it was also a huge affirmation that I was where I needed to be.
Oh, I love it. Well, I think that's a perfect note for us to stop on. And Roger, thank you so much for taking time out of your free time tonight to talk to us. And I hope maybe you'll come back and we can talk to you after you get to Santiago and kind of hear a whole recap of the final half of your walk. And of course, you're always welcome back. I'll have everything in the show notes. But Buen Camino, I'm so happy for you and excited to see how the rest of your walk turns out. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully I won't break down next time, but it'll be very different because I'll be with my partner, and so it won't just be my Camino, it'll be our Camino. So it'll be
well, she's welcome too. That would be fantastic. Awesome. Yeah. All right, well, stay on with me. I'm going to stop the recording and say goodbye to everyone, but stay on with me so we can say goodbye. And everyone that's been watching and listening, thank you so much for stopping in, and I hope that you have enjoyed our conversation today, and we hope to see you on the Camino really soon. Buen Camino, everyone.
Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered wings. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathers